include the CFP rankings. It's sort of like The Bachelor. You get something new every chance you get, every week it seems like. And with the way that things have been moving here in November, we're going to definitely have some changes. We'll see how that goes. But first, I get to welcome into the program a gentleman that I thought about on a Saturday night. Yeah, that does sound kind of weird. But Wes Bryant from the ACC Digital Network, he's sitting there thinking, why is this chunky fool thinking about me on a Saturday night? I know that you were smiling from ear to ear when Wake Forest knocked off NC State. I know that you're unbiased, but you had to be happy with that big win there. Of course, you work for the ACC Digital Network now, but the Wake Forest alma mater that you are, it was probably a great experience seeing that on a Saturday, right?
Oh, definitely, man. It was fantastic to say that. I thought Wake would have a good season this year. I voted them preseason to finish third in the Atlantic. I thought they could get to 9, possibly 10 wins, but I would be remiss if I told you that I thought that this team would be staring down the barrel of an ACC championship appearance with the win on Saturday over Clemson of all teams.
Yeah. What's the secret sauce, man? I guess that's what everybody's trying to figure out. You and I sung the praises of Dave Clawson and how great of a coach he is. It's all come together this season.
I mean, you just look at what this do as far as they do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. And it's as simple as that. If they need to outscore a team, they'll do that. If they need to get a key stop, their defense hasn't always been just shut down all season long, but they've had games like against a high-powered offense like Virginia, or they've had games like against Duke, who can score points on people and held them to 7 points. So they have had some games defensively where they've been above average. But the main thing that they do on defense is they get sacks and they get turnovers. And even though they gave up 42 points to NC State, you look at that and they did force some interceptions, and they made plays on the football when they needed to and got key stops when they had to. So the secret sauce is just an opportunistic defense that makes plays when they absolutely have to. And then really a solid running game, nothing spectacular. And then you're talking about a passing game that's been prolific under Sam Hartman, third in the ACC in passing offense. Sam has been absolutely fantastic this season. I think he's been the key to everything, especially when you're talking about taking care of the football. I mean, he's at 3,100 yards passing, 30 touchdowns to eight interceptions. So he's been taking care of the football. Sometimes he does have some turnovers that make you scratch your head, but this team has been so explosive passing the football. And if I had to point to one thing, it's just an offense that's just been prolific through the air and putting points on the board.
You know, with that, you got to look, it seems like Clemson calls themselves WRU, but Wake Forest puts together some great wide receivers, it seems like, every year.
Yeah, this has been a position that they've recruited well over the years, and I think it just speaks to across the nation, just, wide receivers. I'm not going to say it's easy to get them, but it is a position that definitely comes in great variety and great abundance when you're talking about recruiting. And it's a glamour position for sure. Kids love to play it. And Wake has always found guys that can fit their system. And they always find the right combination of guys. When you look at this group that they have now, A.T. Perry, this guy, well, he's not a deep ball threat in the sense of, he's going to run a 4-3 and run right by you, but he's deceptively fast. He can create separation, but he can go get the ball. And we've seen receivers like that in this offense in the past, like a Scotty Washington, like a Say Surratt. Then you have Jacoy Roberson, who's the consummate possession receiver, you could call him, but he can also get deep on you. But he really works the middle of the field, but he can go down the field, get those posts, go up in the air and get that. And then you got a crafty kid like Taylor Morin, who can, again, work the middle of the field and be the guy in those concept routes that when you're paying too much attention to A.T. Perry, when you're paying too much attention to Jacoy Robinson, he'll beat you over the top for a touchdown. So they always end up not just having a great receiver, but they end up having a great combination of receivers, make them really tough to guard.
All right, well, let's talk one more minute about Dave Clawson here, and then we'll get your opinion on the matchup with Clemson. There's an opening at Virginia Tech, and I've always said if Dave Clawson wanted to go somewhere, I think he'd be respected, and he has that opportunity. Do you think Coach is staying put, or do you think he might test the waters?
It doesn't seem like you're talking Wake's been to 5 straight bowls at this point. Going to a bowl game at Wake Forest, especially when he got there, was definitely an accomplishment and something that teams are going to come calling regardless. The thing about Wake is, while it may not be a school that perhaps it's a school that people may look at as a stepping stone, but it's also a school that if you win there, you have great job security. And so I think one thing a lot of coaches will look at is, hey, if I build something here where we can be a perennial contender, which we're going to find out if Carson stays, if Wake can be that, because Sam Hartman has the option to come back. And, they have guys that can come back, and this team can be loaded again next year to make another great run. So you say to yourself, do I want to go to a school where they're going to give me 2 years, and if I'm not getting it done, they'll fire me? Or if I'm at a school like Wake Forest and, I win 6 to 9 games every year, I'm going to be here on my own accord as long as I want to be. So with that said, it's always tough to tell because money talks. But I would think that right now, I just think he's going to stay if I had to put my finger on it.
Do you think Wake Forest would pony up more money for him?
Oh, definitely. They will. They know that that's coming, and I'm sure they're already preparing themselves for it. They do have some boosters around there with some deep pockets who will, nothing speaks to camaraderie like winning. And I think that when you have a coach that's winning in the fashion that he is, especially if they're able to get to Charlotte and win an ACC championship, I think the alumni base and the higher ups are going to do everything they can to make sure that he's satisfied with his compensation.
All right, looking ahead to the matchup with Clemson this weekend, Clemson is going, they're at home. They are a 4-point favorite. I don't think Wake Forest has beaten Clemson, and I can't remember. I think I had the number in front of me earlier, but it seems like Brent Venables has had the number for that Wake offense. Is this the year that Wake breaks through?
I definitely think so. I've been saying for a while after what I've seen from Clemson so far, I have no doubt in my mind that I think Wake Forest is going to go in there and get this win. This team, as you said, has been catching beat down after beat down from Clemson. I think they owe them this Clemson offense, even against a Wake defense that can at times be very porous. I don't see this Clemson offense exploiting them in any type of way. And I just think that this Wake offense is so explosive, 35 points or more in every game this season. I don't see Clemson stopping that. Not to say that Wake will go in there and drop 50, but I think they're going to score more than enough points than they need to win and put the Clemson offense in a precarious position. So with that said, kind of in the past, Wake, they would have some decent offenses that went in there, point to maybe a time where they came in there without Sage Surratt, who I think would have made a big difference because then they were able to key on Scotty Washington, and then they had young pups that just weren't ready for that type of environment. But this is a seasoned football team now that's been through the wars. They've taken enough beat down to Clemson. They're very confident with what they're able to do against anybody. They just hit up the number of one of the top defenses in the ACC when you're talking about scoring defense and total defense in NC State and hit them for 45 points. Albeit, and NC State's number 2 in those categories. And maybe they don't have some of the 5-star personnel that a Clemson does, but that NC State defense was still very good and give a lot of teams the fits. And they beat Clemson too. And Wake put 45 on them. So I think this is a football team that's poised, ready to take the next step. Their mantra all season has been go from good to great. It's right there in front of them. Greatness is right there in front of this team, and I think they're ready to seize it. And what better way to do it than in Death Valley?
Yeah. All right. Wes Bryant from the ACC Digital Network. Before we get you out of here, Virginia Tech is looking for a new head coach. When did you get the vibe they were going to make the change? Were you as shocked as I was this morning, or I thought they'd wait until the end of the season?
Yeah, I wasn't very shocked at all. I knew this was something that was inevitable. And to be frank, as soon as Syracuse scored that last-minute touchdown to get that victory in Lane Stadium, I said, it's over with. I knew that at that time that it was Virginia Tech was going to move on. This is a proud program in a fertile recruiting state like Virginia. And, there's someone out there who's ready to seize that opportunity and get those studs back in Blacksburg. When's the last time we've talked about Virginia Tech and not mentioned top NFL prospects on offense or defense? There has been none. And Virginia is a state that I've long felt has been vastly underrated in terms of recruiting. You talk about to me, I think that I'm sorry for this. I think Shane Beamer is a guy that I think that they probably are going to go after. I think, just with the Beamer lineage, I think that's a program that might look back to that to try to restore some of yesteryear. And if I had to put my finger on one guy, I think he's going to be the guy.
He did say today in his press conference that he wants to be at South Carolina, but you never know. So we'll have those comments later on. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. All right, Wes Bryant from the ACC Digital Network, my good friend there. Where can they follow you on Instagram and Twitter and all that good stuff?
Follow me on Instagram, WestGuyRange704. Follow me on Twitter, WestGuyRange. Follow the ACC Digital Network on all platforms. And Rob, I'm not sure if you know, but I'm the Hornets insider on Valley Sports now, so they can also catch me there talking a little hoops for every Hornets home game, pregame, halftime, postgame, and end of the third quarter.
I did not know that. I think you did it for the shoes.
I wish. I haven't received any real perks like that yet. I know they're going to give us a couple of city edition jerseys, which I'm happy about that. But yeah, man, I've been doing that since the beginning of the season, so they can catch me there while talking a little bit of hoops as well.
All right, man. Look forward to catching up with you about the Hornets and everything else, man. Thanks for joining us on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you, as always, my friend.
All right, there you go. Wes Bryant from the ACC Digital Network. We appreciate him. The big thing with that came across today, though, was Virginia Tech telling Justin Fuente, yeah, we don't need you here anymore. And, Wes, of course, covers all of the ACC teams there, and he said he thought that Shane Beamer would possibly make his way to from South Carolina out to the job at Virginia Tech. But Shane Beamer today point blank said, yeah, I don't think so. A couple of quick comments here from Shane Beamer about the Virginia Tech opening. Here we go.
Shane, obviously the Virginia Tech job opened up this morning. I know, we know your history, your dad's history there and your time there. Just wanted to ask you where you stand in relation to that and as the head coach at South Carolina right now too.
Yeah, certainly you hate to ever see anyone lose their job. So tough from that standpoint. Obviously, I love Virginia Tech. I moved there when I was 10 years old. I went to high school there. I went to college there. I coached there. My parents still live there. So I have special memories of my time in Blacksburg.
Lizard stick it, Steve. Lizard stick it.
This is where I want to be. When I said this was my dream job, I wasn't just saying that to make it sound cool in a press conference or to get the job. This is where my wife and I and my family want to be. We didn't put that sign up over there in Williams-Brice Stadium that said "Welcome home" just because it was trendy and a slogan. This is home for me, and I want to be the head football coach here at South Carolina. I love working for Ray Tanner and Chance Miller. They are fantastic, and we have an amazing relationship. I love this state. I want to live in this state. I love this city. I want to live in this city. I told our team a couple of weeks ago, my son Hunter, he's in second grade, I guess. I want him to graduate high school from here in Columbia, and this is where I want to be. We're just getting started. Recruiting is going amazingly well. There's a lot of energy about this program right now. There's a lot of excitement about this program right now. My goal is to bring an SEC championship here to Columbia, and we're just in the beginning stages of it. So no, I'm the head coach at South Carolina. I want to be the head coach at South Carolina, and then probably beyond any of that is we use the word love around here a lot, and I love coaching these kids, and couldn't imagine not coaching these guys and love what they're about and love being their head football coach.
So there's the comments from Coach Shane Beamer as his team gets set to play Auburn this weekend. Obviously, he loves Virginia Tech, but judging by those comments, he wants to be here at South Carolina. So, yeah, I wonder if they're going to at least call, though. I wonder if you're up at Virginia Tech, you think they'd have to. You never know. But from what Beamer said right there, yeah, things can change in a matter of seconds, though. And let's not forget the whole money talks thing. Remember, South Carolina is paying Don Staley $3.25 million to coach women's basketball. Not saying that's bad. I'm just saying when you're paying your football coach $2.75 million to coach football, he may be going and thinking, you know what? What's the discrepancy here? I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out. Please do not rail me at Rob Sounds Good saying that I'm ripping women's basketball. I think Don Staley is the best women's basketball coach in the country, but football is the sport that brings money. That's just the way that it is. We'll take your calls, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Quick break. When we come back. A tough loss on the offensive front for the Clemson football team. We'll tell you about that and more. This is The Rundown. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. Be right back, guys. Got to get some water.
It's your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword Phils to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's Phils to 200-200. We're celebrating Thanksgiving this month, and you know what I'm thankful for? Zero Roll. It's the only company I trust to get my phone, especially when it's refrigerator food. Right now, for $306, you can order $190 from the station. Check them online at ZeroRestaurantDeal.com.
Needed some water. Y'all don't think it's strange they're paying the women's basketball coach more than they're paying the football coach? Am I wrong on that? Just saying. It's kind of crazy. Welcome back to The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a couple more notes from the South Carolina press conference today. Jason Brown will be the starting quarterback this week. Shane Beamer said it wasn't pretty all the time at Missouri, but he did some good things. His quote said he made some nice throws. Zeb Nolan is healthy, but he was healthy last week as well. But apparently Jason Brown is the quarterback. He does have another year of eligibility, and Beamer believes he plans on returning for the 2022 season. So that's interesting. At least you'll have a quarterback that comes up and will actually have some experience. Spring practice is going to be interesting with Luke Doty. Will those two battle it out, and who'll take home the job? So looking forward to that for spring ball. He did say the focus right now is on Auburn, but we'd love to finish with 2 wins and a bowl bid. We'll see how that works out. All right, so Clemson is playing Wake Forest this weekend, and they're going to have to do it without one of their best offensive threats. It's not looking good for the Clemson offense, because today we found out that Justin Ross will not be playing this weekend.
Will be out.
Yeah, Justin's out, and it's, probably going to go ahead and do surgery Thursday. And, let me just say this about Justin, and this is it's just who he is. I mean, this kid, so he right before we played Georgia, I know there was a lot of rumors saying he broke his foot or whatever, and he didn't break his foot. He had a very, very, very slight hairline area near his fifth metatarsal. Not something that, like broken foot, you go put it in a cast, type of deal, but he had a very, very thin deal, which when I first heard that, I was like, oh man, that's not good. He's going to be out for 4 or 5 weeks, or 3 to 5 weeks, fix it. But he's like, I think I can play. And the doctors felt like he could play, or at least try it. And I said, well, we'll just have to see where he is. And so, he really only hurt. He hurt the Georgia game and the South Carolina State game. And outside of that, because he was on the bone stimulator and all, so he did all this treatment. He's been treating all year. He's had no problems. I mean, it's amazing. It is amazing that he was able to go play 10 games. So, and just that one last play, because he's played with a plate in his shoe and different things, and he's not really had any issues. He rolled his other ankle. That's about the only other issue that he's had. But that one play, it was a great play, and there was a bunch of guys around him, and he just somehow tweaked it just a little bit. So where we are now, I mean, and we may wait and see where he is Monday, and just see if he's better, maybe can finish. But right now our plan is to probably go ahead and do it. Unless we're going to see where he is tomorrow. So. Because he's going to have to they'll just put a little screw in there, and he'll be fine in a few weeks. But, one of the worst days of my coaching career, since I've been a coach since 1993, was the day that the doctors showed up in my office unannounced, and we had to get Justin and his mom and tell him that it's most likely he's not going to play football anymore. That was a bad day. It's just etched in my mind forever. Man, I'm just so thankful for Dr. Okonkwo. I'm just so thankful that there's people like that on this planet, because most of the doctors said you can't play. That's what all these doctors. He's done. I won't clear him, never play, shut him down. And then this guy, Dr. Okonkwo, who was the doctor with Shazier or whatever from the Steelers, he's like, I think that's the easy answer. I'll never forget the first conversation I had with this guy when he was getting ready to do the surgery. He's like, he said, it's good likelihood he won't play. I would say it's maybe 50-50, but I'm not ready to say that. I think there's a path. And I mean, and I remember going up there and he had his surgery, and I met with him after surgery. I said, well, how'd you do? Was it 7-5, 6-6, 10-2? And he's like, 15-0. And I was just like, wow. He said it was great. Everything went great. And if he'll just do what I asked him to do, It's still an uphill battle, and I'd say it's 50-50, but I think he's got a chance. And so for 18, 19 months, watching this kid go through what he went through. And I mean, this is Justin Ross, man. I mean, this isn't, Dabo Sweeney's career being shut down. I mean, this is a guy that is capable of playing at the highest level. And man, it was just again one of the worst days of my coaching career, and then one of the greatest days of my coaching career is watching him return to play. And
yes, there's some thoughts from Dabo Sweeney on Justin Ross, who is having surgery on his foot and will be out probably for the rest of the season. In fact, you may not see him in a Clemson uniform again. He may decide to head on. We'll see how that works out. A couple more notes on this game. Clemson looks to extend the nation's longest home winning streak to 34. Of the 131 players on the roster, 126 have never experienced a home loss. 5 6-year seniors were on the 2016 team that dropped a 43-42 decision to Pitt before winning their final 5 games en route to a national title. One of the other interesting notes, due to injuries along both the offensive line and at the skill positions, Clemson will not start a senior on offense against Wake Forest on Saturday. Kind of gives you some perspective there. So there's that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will look at the CFP projections for tonight. Who's going to go where? Who's going to move up? Who's going to move down? Actually, we can take a call first before we do that. 803-978-1832. Let's go out to the phones. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Hey, Rob, this is the Biscuit.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
How many words did your coach have to use to tell us that Justin Ross was injured and probably won't return? About 80,000 words?
Dabo Sweeney is very long-winded. Last week's press conference was 21 minutes.
God, man.
That was compared to this week, which was 48. They have I think they do an over and under on how long he's going to take. But I left that piece in there in the edit because he talked about what Ross had been through. That's why it was a little longer than most. But yeah, go ahead.
I got you. You have to let us know that Okarklu is your next quarterback, or
that's funny. But yeah, what else do you have for the program?
Nothing. Well, see, since we have Coastal
Charleston Southern.
Carolina,
Charleston Southern, right? Yeah.
I was going to go and skip ahead to Georgia Tech and tell you a little bit, since we live in Georgia, how much we despise this game as Georgia fans, most of us.
Well, I hope that hold on before you get into that. We're going to do a show on the Friday before that game, and I want folks to call in and tell us what they hate about their rivals so much. And I know that there's a disdain between Georgia and Georgia Tech. I know that, of course, we have South Carolina and Clemson. Florida and Florida State don't like each other, but everybody has their own rivalry story. But go ahead and tell me your thing about Georgia Tech.
You're taking the wrong angle on it. I don't have disdain because they're rivals. Right. I have a disdain because people think they're a rival and they're like basically like an FCS program to us.
Okay.
I mean, we destroy them every year. Their fans disappear. They don't show up, and then they're like Gophers when they do something or they win a game, and then suddenly they're there all year. We can't stand this game. I almost wish they would actually stop playing this game and start playing Clemson every year.
I've made that comment to South Carolina fans, and they don't like that either, because I think that Clemson matches up. It's closer to Athens than it is to Columbia from Clemson. When you mention that, and as far as the recruiting goes, Georgia's dominated the series, but the two should play each other every year, just like I believe North Carolina should play South Carolina.
Some of the older Georgia fans, if you talk to them, some of the older Georgia fans, really older ones, the one we used to play in like the early 80s, they despise Clemson more than Florida or any other school still. They still have that anger towards Clemson back in those days. So,
South Carolina fans in that area. North Carolina. They blame North Carolina, which is the reason they left the ACC. If you talk to the really older South Carolina fans, they'll tell you but their disgust is on the basketball front, because when they had Frank McGuire here, they were really good. And the ACC basically was, hey, we're North Carolina and Duke, and that's about it. And they weren't really fair. But yeah, I get where you're coming from with that. But
I can't stand it. It's not fun. Like for me, honestly, it's become a game that's about equivalent to the Charleston Southern game. We got there. We're going to go there. We're going to beat them 50-10. It's not going to mean anything. It doesn't mean any credibility. Twice a decade, they come up with a team that upsets Georgia, and then they're all over the place. And it's like they haven't been there all year, and or for several years, for 5 years, and suddenly there's 1,500 Georgia Tech fans everywhere. Just can't stand it. I wish they would end it, or I wish we'd play another SEC game.
In your existence, did they ever have a period of dominance while you've been alive?
They've had certain periods where they ran like 3 in a row. There was the one back in the late 90s to 2000. One of the games that they won was on that ridiculous fumble,
right?
That they called when who was it? Jasper Sanks was down on the goal line,
right?
And they called it a fumble. That helped their 3-game winning streaks. That back when they had Joe Hamilton like that, they went on a 3-year run under against Donnan. I think they beat him 3 times.
Well, I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, and they've won 3 games against you since 2001. So in 20 years, they have 3 wins. So
yeah, and during those 3 years, you think they're the biggest fans in the world for 20 years. I mean,
they won.
It's absurd.
They won 45-42 in 2008. They won by 6 in 2014 and by a point in 2016. Was that Smart's first year there that they lost to Georgia Tech in 2016?
Yes.
Man, I don't think that went over well. Oh my
That's
goodness.
an exact example. It was ridiculous. Well, Georgia was 8-5 that year, so they weren't very good. But they still beat Auburn, as usual.
Yeah. Well, we'll have more on the rivalries as they come across, man. But can you do us a favor? Please don't beat the holy hell out of Charleston Southern. They're coming there to get their check. They're not going to do anything silly. They're not going to be the Citadel. They're just coming to get their check. All right.
I can't control any beatdowns we deliver. Well, I don't have any control over it.
Put a sign up or something. Don't be killing them.
But I will tell you this: that a Georgia Tech fan has a better chance of seeing boobies than they do of winning that game.
Oh goodness! All right, man. Hey, Biscuit. Thank you.
Take it easy.
All right. One more call. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Big Barney Ross here.
Hey, man.
I wanted to call in and ask you a question. That is to pose a question here.
Sure.
Washington State. Is COVID-19 going to be the new transfer portal for coaches? I mean, you're going to get fired, but they still got to pay you. I mean, having a mediocre year and, well, that school over there looks pretty good. How about I just don't get the shot and just, go ahead and get my money and leave? I think this is going to have a huge effect on college sports, and it's only going to get worse. I'll get off here and listen to what you have to say about that.
Thanks, man. I'm not going to talk about the COVID vaccine because it's just gonna make people angry. I don't know what they're going to do. I think if you have a contract, I don't think there's any pandemic stuff in certain contracts because we've never really had a pandemic, since the Spanish flu, I guess it was. I don't know, but yeah, you might be right about that. We'll see. Quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about the CFP projections for tonight here on the rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. I mean, 3 wins in 18 years. That's not exactly, They had a 3-game winning streak from 98 to 2000. And before that, Georgia won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They do have the longest streak in the series at 8. So Georgia's won 7 in a row, but Georgia's won 7 in a row like 2 or 3 times. Crazy.
Text the nationwide keyword fills to 200 200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rate apply to nationwide contest. That's fills to 200 200. ACCDN Patrick, and here's what's trending on the iHeart Sports Network, presented by Mercedes-Benz. Hello, ball of the Hornets are now ranked 16th by ESPN in the latest NBA power rankings. Currently 8-7 and have chance to go to Lakers, Pacers, and Hawks this week. Good news for the Panthers return to practice today, looking legit to elected a must-buy coverage on the win this weekend against the Washington football team. The Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M are on the top recruiting class in the country. Unfortunately, the third-ranked running back in the nation, Le'Veon Moss, today. How's that baby going? Daring, safe, stylish, sporty. The 2021 sedan family checks everything except inside the box. Check out their one-of-a-kind vehicles at your local Mercedes-Benz dealer. Or learn more at mbusa.com.
Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeart Radio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us today. We are going to do a show the Friday after Thanksgiving, and we're going to talk about the different rivalries around the country and some of the best, some of the worst. You can kind of agree with Georgia fans to an extent. They've, since 2001, they're what, 17-3 against Georgia Tech. The problem is that you've got folks that are in the legislation up there in the state houses, and they're like, you know what? I remember when I was at Georgia Tech back in, I don't know, 1990, we won 2 straight against Georgia. And I think we need to have that rivalry scheduled every year. It's the same mentality everywhere. People just think these games need to be played. And they don't. You can venture away from them a little bit. Let's go back out to the phones. Welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Hello?
Hello.
When are Clemson fans going to start holding Dabo's feet to the fire about valuing wins over the health and safety of players?
What do you mean by that?
Well, did he or did he not play Deshaun Watson with a torn ACL against South Carolina?
He was cleared by the doctors to play. Dabo Swinney's not a doctor.
Okay. How many doctors did he go through before he found one to clear Justin Ross? According to Dabo, it was 3.
Actually,
so that's called doctor shopping. You just played a 45-minute clip of.
This is my show. Hold on, and I'll let you talk. Okay. What happened was he went to that doctor because the parents went to that doctor. They found the specialist. Now continue spreading stupid. Go.
Well, that's not what Dabo said. I mean, you just played what Dabo said, and that's not what Dabo said.
They went to that doctor because the parents found the specialist. Swinney doesn't go out shopping for doctors. I know that's the mentality that you have, but the reality is the specialist was found by the parents in Pittsburgh. And then
Dabo said the team doctor wouldn't clear him. They went to another doctor, said he would never play again.
And then
finally the third doctor.
The family found the doctor. That's where it came from.
According to you, but not according to Dabo. Dabo didn't say that.
According to the family, man.
See, this is what I mean.
What do you mean?
Why is it? You know what you are? You're like one of these political drones who thinks everything one party does is right and everything the other party does is wrong. So. Why are you incapable of criticizing Dabo Swinney? I don't understand.
I can criticize Dabo Swinney. If you listened to the show earlier this week, I don't know why he's still playing Uiagalelei, who looks like his leg is messed up. So, yeah, I can. Apparently, you just hear what you want to hear. You have your own little syndrome here where you only hear what you want to hear.
You don't think the doctor cleared you? You don't think the doctor cleared the ukulele to play?
I think that knowing how active Uiagalelei's father is, if something was wrong with his leg, he wouldn't be out there.
So the doctor did clear him to play.
I don't think any player goes out on the field that's not cleared to play. That's in any program.
Cleared to play by who?
Whoever the doctors are for the team or whatever. I mean, they have medical personnel.
Well, the team doctors did not clear Justin Ross.
Are you a doctor?
The team doctors would not clear Justin Ross.
Are you going to tell me the vaccine's bad now? Where are we going to go from this? Did your chiropractor tell you something? Is that where we're going to go now? The doctors, the people that went to medical school, cleared
You
them
just
to
said
play.
team doctor. You just said, I'm assuming he's playing because the team doctor cleared him to play.
That's
well, the team doctor said Justin Ross can't play. You know, there was two starters who had this same injury. Two starters got this same injury 1 week before the season started for Georgia. Both of them sat out 5 weeks.
How do you know that, first of all? Because Kirby Smart lies about injuries to the end of the world. We don't know if it's the exact same injury. We don't know if it's the exact same injury. You don't know that for sure.
They both had a hairline fracture in their foot.
First of all, did you go to medical school? Second of all, did you see the x-rays to prove that? Did you do any of that?
More and more with the excuses. That's all you do.
Did you not do
Last
that?
question.
It's a very simple
Why
question.
did Dabo Swinney say?
Have a great day, sir. All right. If you're going to be dumb, that's what happens. If you don't have a medical license, you can't sit here and make stupid conversation like that. And that's with any program. You didn't look at that. You didn't look at x-rays, and you're not a doctor. Sorry. It's just the way things work. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown. This is Fox Sports Radio 1400. Your finger stinks. What's that mean? Dr. Lou. I mean, I didn't know that Lou had a degree from a doctor. I did not know that. Did not know he went to medical school. You won't show up. Hobble your ass up there. That ain't gonna work out well for you. You live in an echo chamber, man. Did Vandy win in 21? I didn't know that.
So watch Newsmax anytime, anywhere. Forbes calls Newsmax a news powerhouse. And watch great shows with Mike Huckabee, Greg Kelly, Rob Smith, Diamond and Silk, Stinchfield, and a lot more. Find out why America is tuning in to Newsmax TV, the fastest growing cable news channel. It's a source you can trust. Newsmax is real news for real people.
Publix. Some Florida fans said that Mullen's wife couldn't go to any Publix in anywhere near Gainesville or Jacksonville, which I thought was funny. Let's see your degree there, Lou. You have one of those YouTube degrees. Is that what it is? Dr. Lou. Dr. Lou with his YouTube degree. Yeah, but you don't have the smarts to sit out here and say, I don't have a degree, so I'm not going to make assumptions. Sweeney told you what the doctor said. That's where you have issues. Facts hurt feelings. You would lose miserably. Don't be over there threatening me, dude. Welcome back to the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world on the iHeartRadio app. The CFP projections come out tonight. Here is my lineup on how I think it's going to go. I think Georgia will be 1, Alabama 2, Oregon 3, Ohio State 4, Cincinnati 5, Michigan 6, Michigan State 7, Notre Dame 8, Oklahoma State will be at 9, and then Oklahoma at 10 after their loss. Wake Forest will probably be at 11, followed by, I've got my top 15 here with Baylor at 12, and then Ole Miss at 13, BYU at 14, and then I think NC State will be 15th. So there you go. There is my projections for the CFP tonight. Not that any of these matter. Not that any of these matter. But I think that's where they're going to set them up with the idea there that they're looking at the future matchups with Michigan and Ohio State playing. I think that whoever wins that game is probably getting into, they'll probably get the Big Ten spot if they can win the championship game there. But I think that's kind of what they're looking forward to there. And then I think they're basically putting Oregon out there on their own island and saying, you know what, if you win out, then you'll have your spot. Now, I don't know how they're going to handle the top two up there and the seeding and how that's going to go. But that's the best part about college football is that it all will shake out eventually in the end. There are going to be some people that are upset. If you're an Oklahoma State team that you finish your season at 12-1, you win the Big 12 championship game, and then but you're probably not going to be in. That's why I think they're going to have them ahead of Oklahoma. And those teams are going to play each other, but I think they're battling for a New Year's Six bowl. That's what I think anyway. Wake Forest, by the way, I think they'll be right there about at 11. And if they win over Clemson, they'll probably vault them up into the top 10 again. But I feel solid with my top 6 with Georgia, Alabama, Oregon, Ohio State, Cincinnati, and Michigan. For some reason, they don't like Michigan State. Now, Michigan State, obviously, they're playing Ohio State this weekend. So we'll see how that works out for them. They're like an 18-point dog to Ohio State. Should be one of the most interesting games of the weekend because of Michigan State, who's been kind of an underdog all year. Yeah, they win that game, they're going to vault their way up. So, and then Ohio State will come down. That'll make that bowl, that game next week, the following week between Michigan and Ohio State, maybe not mean as much. I mean, if Michigan wins this weekend, yeah, that's great. But I think the Big Ten, they want that matchup with Ohio State at 10-1, Michigan at 10-1. We'll see how that goes for them. All right, where do you think the CFP is going to fall? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That is the number to dial if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown this afternoon. A couple more minutes before we get out of here today. If you missed our interview with Wes Bryant from the ACC Digital Network, that will be up on the podcast at about 5 o'clock today. Also, I've got a beat writer for Auburn that's going to join us towards the end of the week as we're trying to work out our schedule, and we'll see how that goes. But preview Auburn and what they're going to look like against South Carolina. Of course, I think they're going to lean heavily on Tank Bigsby. And, of course, I wonder if Finley, their new quarterback, the transfer in from LSU, if he's going to remember how he had that big game against South Carolina last year. 2 different teams. Maybe that'll help his confidence a little bit as he heads into the matchup this weekend as a starter with Bo Nix out. So, there was one other note, too, that I had on South Carolina. Oh, I don't know where it is. I left my other set of notes. All right. Well, anyway, 803-978-1832. We'll have the CFP stuff tonight. You can check that out. I think it's on ESPN at their normal time tonight. Big win at home for the Clemson basketball team last night. I say that in that I watched the game and they cannot rebound. They had some issues rebounding last night. PJ Hall's looking like he may be the next quote-unquote guy at Clemson, but they don't have the guard that can go and dribble and get you a basket. Hey, go take us down and get us a basket with the shot clock rolling down. PJ Hall's the kind of player, if you set him up, he can make shots. But as far as getting the ball and actually scoring with it, we'll have to see how that works out. South Carolina, of course, they had 1-1 last weekend, lost to Princeton, beat Western Kentucky. So we'll be into more college hoops talk as we get closer and closer to the harder part of the non-conference season. Around Thanksgiving, a lot of teams play in tournaments. We'll see how. I know Clemson's playing in that tournament in Charleston, and South Carolina played in that Asheville tournament at the old Coliseum up there. Terrence Oglesby from ESPN will be joining us here on the program. We'll talk about all of that in the coming weeks. Don't forget, on Friday, we'll have our picks against the spread. We'll have all that for you here. In addition to Coach Eric Wilson will be joining us, setting that up to talk X's and O's on Friday as well. He'll tell us what South Carolina has to do on the coaching front to get that win over Auburn. All right, don't forget my buddy Lawton Swan from Clemson Sports Talk. He will be up next. Of course, you can follow him on Twitter. He is at Clemson Sports. His website is clemsonsportstalk.com. As I'm looking for, where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Of course, Lawton Swan.
Stop looking at me, Swan.
He'll be with you this afternoon from 4 till 6 o'clock. He's on Twitter at Clemson Sports. I'm on Twitter at Rob Sounds Good. On the blog page today, the Missouri football team decided to take shots at South Carolina, kind of mock their video they did last week with Josh Vann about the Florida catch. They basically did the same thing, but they were talking about the Mayor's Cup trophy. Go and check that out. It's on the blog page at foxsportsradio1400.com. Well, more of the rundown for you tomorrow. Thanks so much. We'll see you then right here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. All right, guys, we'll see you later on.